everyone and welcome to a new video. Today you're watching the first episode of To Buy or Buy, which basically is a little branch of an haul project which I talked about on a previous video on my channel, where I basically go into this new mindset of trying not to buy as many books and being okay with reading stuff digitally and not necessarily need to own it physically, but having read it and still enjoyed it, but not necessarily needing to have it on my shelves. I also reflected on the fact that I read a lot, but I don't make a lot of content of what I read, which seems like a waste since I have a booktube channel. So it seems like a waste to not make content and several videos about the books I read. I feel like you see all the books I read in a month in a wrap up, but that's more like quick go through of everything, but not like thorough thoughts. So I want to make more vlogs, etc., where like I go more into detail of what I feel about the books I read, and like more process of my reading than just like, here's everything I wrapped up, goodbye, you know? So I want to make more vlogs and more content around my reading than I do, which doesn't make sense because in my head I do make a lot of content around it, but I realize not as much as I could have, and I am wasting my own reading for content, you know. Okay, so the whole point of this series is that I'm gonna read stuff digitally, borrow them at the library, etc., and then decide if I'm gonna buy them or say goodbye to them, which is why it is called Buy or Buy. I was struggling with the name. I wanted to call it To Buy or Not to Buy. That is the question, but I felt like that was really long, and then my coworker suggested this name and I was like, oh, I kind of like it. It rhymes. It fits a bit with eat or keep, which is like what I'm going to do for the on hold part. I have already decided stuff for this vlog and what I'm going to read, because you are watching. This clip is filmed after the whole vlog has finished, because I managed to delete almost all my footage. And I'm very angry about it, because I for once felt really good about updating my vlogs. I was really like thorough updating, and like my updates were long. I was thinking like a 1 hour vlog at least, and I was like, wow. And I felt like not necessarily proud is the right word, but I felt really good about what I've been saying and like my process, and I felt like it was very thorough. And now half of it is gone because I don't know where it is. So obviously I'm still gonna post a video because I'm gonna just deal with what I have and just do a quick sum up here, but it was like that was like not what I wanted, and I'm very sad about it, but I can't really do much about it. So I still want to post a vlog and start it serious, but it didn't come out as I intended because the footage is gone. I honestly, like, I don't even recall deleting it because I'm very thorough when I delete my footage. I name everything correctly, and I look like, okay, this is what I want to delete. I have no idea where that footage went, but it's not on my memory card and I don't have it anywhere else. And I'm heartbroken about it, okay? The first book I read for this vlog was The Thief by Megan Whelan Turner. I read this really quickly. I borrowed it at the library digitally, and I read this because the FAES set was coming the 4 days after I read this. I read it on a Monday. The FAES set was coming on the Thursday. This one follows a thief that is put in prison and is like hired to go on this, like, I was gonna say, kind of quest to find this artifact with some people that work for this kingdom, and they are going out to find this artifact so that the king for that kingdom can be shown as the proven ruler, so that he might marry the queen of another kingdom. And I was good at updating when I read this, and now I feel like I already said this, which you haven't seen, but in my head I have. So I didn't like it. I found the writing good. I just found out a lot of the side characters I didn't care for, and they had a lot of time on the page, and I was like, I didn't even remember who was who. And at that point the story felt a bit weird. I don't know how to describe it. I was like, what is going on right now? Because we had like this weird like skip thing, and I was like, what happened in this scene? Because we were suddenly somewhere else, and I was like, I don't understand anything that was going on right now. And then everything was explained at the end, and it was this really cool plot twist. And I was like, oh, so it was supposed to be weird, because I was sitting there not like comprehending, because like they didn't match together in a way. And then I was like, okay, it was on purpose. It was not just me that was losing it completely. It was supposed to be like that. And I ended up thoroughly enjoying it because of the plot twist, and very curious about the rest of the series. series. And in my original vlog clip, I did say, okay, I guess I have to buy it then. And then I didn't, because I decided that I didn't want to spend £70 on the series that I enjoyed but I didn't love. And I wanted to spend my money on special editions where like I really, really love it, even though it is gorgeous. And I have decided not buy it. And maybe end up buying the paperback, but then I feel like if I was going to buy the paperback, I might as well buy the special edition. I might just end up reading the whole series digitally. And if I end up like falling in love completely in the later books in the series and I have regrets later, I guess I can just blame this present Sandra for that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. I give it 3 stars. And then the next book I picked out was Princess of Souls by Alexandra Christio. That is the sequel to Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christio. It is set in the same world, but we don't really have the same characters. This was a Little Mermaid retelling. We had like sirens, and then we had like Elian who wants to kill all the sirens, and then they meet and then like kind of fall in love-ish. And I remember I enjoyed it for what it was when I read it in 2019. I found out about the sequel and I thought that, okay, well, I have the first one, so I should read the sequel to see if I want to, you know, buy it. Yeah, and that one was more of a Rapunzel retelling. We have a main character who can touch people and see the future and see how they would die. And then the king makes these deals where like he tells them how they would die, and if they survive, they will survive. But if they don't, he is on their souls. I don't even remember. Oh, what's the opposite? He lives on these souls and is immortal. Is like abusive, and like our main character is like been trapped in his life her whole life. And then she meets this dude who wants to, surprise, kill the whole royal family because they kill his father. And then guess what? They maybe fall in love instead. And I didn't love this because I felt too old for it. Honestly, the tone of the story was very much like a kind of YA that I don't particularly love anymore. I don't necessarily think there was anything wrong with the book or it was a bad book. I was just reading it and I was feeling old and grumpy, and I was like, these characters are not well enough developed for me. This writing is not like deep enough for me. I just don't care about anything that's happening on the page right now. I ended up like kind of predicting the whole book. I had this long clip in the original vlog where I said like everything I thought was gonna happen. Very arrogant of me. Well, most of it did, to be honest. Like you can know exactly step by step where this story will go, and it doesn't do it for me anymore. And I'm not saying that the book is terrible. I would never recommend anyone to read it. I think thoroughly you can enjoy it and have fun and be like, oh my god, it was cute. But I just like, wow, it gave me nothing. I think I gave it 3 because I don't think it deserves a low. I feel like I liked it, I just didn't care about it. And then I was like, well, if I'm not going to buy book 2, I might as well not keep this, because when I think about it, I didn't really love this either. So I'm going to unhaul this, which basically now made this into the whole project, because I realized these 2 Pieces of Souls could have been in the whole project, because that includes me reading sequels to book and see if I'm going to keep the first books. So I realized that these 2 series will have crossovers that could have been in both or something, and that is fine. That is fine. We will survive. I decided to not buy the second book, and I decided to hold the first one. And then I randomly had in my hands Empire of Silence. Is that what it's called? Oh my god. By Christopher Riccio. I don't know how to say his name. This is the first book in the Sun Eater series, which has been talked a lot about lately. And I randomly had it in my hands because someone had borrowed it from a library far away, delivered it back to me, and I was like, before we send it back, I can read it. It was 600 pages long, and I read it. I wanted to buy the series a lot. I was very close to buying it last time I was in Oslo, but then I realized it's an 8-book series. Do I want all these books on my shelf if I'm not gonna love them? So I want to try to read the Kindle first, but then I had a physical in my hands. I read that instead. And that was very negative. I liked it a lot, okay? It follows this young boy who belongs to this noble house on this planet. It is a sci-fi. And then he basically, I was going to say, he's not exiled, but he runs away from his family because he just doesn't want to do what his father's told him. And he ends up in this unfortunate fate for now, because the whole book hints to the future where he kills a son, he ruins a planet, he becomes this and this and this, he becomes this and this person in this war. So it's like a lot of foreshadowing for who he is meant to be in the future. But we are not actually there yet, because we're gonna go through every single detail of his life before we get there. So it's a bit like The King, Queen and Chronicle, just like sci-fi. I actually saw a lot of people compare it to in reviews after I already thought it myself, because I hadn't looked at reviews until after I finished it, and I thought that was really interesting. It's a bit like predicting of this great person he will be. Not necessarily great, he could be a villain, but like this, he's going to be a grand figure in this world. I really like that kind of foreshadowing. It makes me very excited. It makes me, oh my god, like that's really cool. But I felt like the book used too long time on things in a way. Like I appreciated the details. I did enjoy the book thoroughly. I gave it a strong 4 out of 5 stars. But for me, there was something holding me back from feeling like it is a favorite. I need to see more. I need to devolve everything more to consider it like a favorite. Even though the book was good, I can also see myself maybe losing interest if it goes so much into detail for things that don't apparently matter later on, and just never gonna get to the point where it feels grand to the scale that it is predicting itself to be. And I felt like it didn't do that in this first book. It predicted itself to be this like grand, amazing, galactic, warlike story. And it was like a prologue that was 600 pages long. And because of that, I still enjoy those 600 pages. But for me, I can still enjoy it, but still also be unsure if like the way the story is told is something that is an absolute favorite for me. It's something I want to own. It's definitely something I want to continue, and I want to read a second book to find out like if I want to actually buy it. But for now, I'm holding myself back because I need to see the grand scale of the story. I definitely think it was very well written, and it's a very cool story. It's a cool story to live in, but it tried to do a lot of things at once. It tried to be this grand story, but didn't fulfill that. It tried to fulfill all the details into our main character's life, but then also says, oh, we never actually see this character again, so we just spent 100 pages with them for no reason. And then also tried to build this world, because it definitely had some great world building in there, but we barely got a glimpse of it because it didn't manage to explain things thoroughly enough for us to truly feel like we were part of this world. I'm not saying that we needed like a full history lesson, but I missed seeing even more of this world. Instead, we spent a lot of time on other things that I didn't care as much for. But I do still think it was a solid read. I would recommend it to certain people, like Dune fans. Just that Dune is written, June, however you pronounce it, is written in a way that you barely understand anything that's going on. Well, this, I actually understood what's going on, but everything just took so long. But yeah, I appreciated it. I liked it. Will I buy it? I don't know yet. And I just remembered that actually where I did my footage, I have the last clip of me finishing off the book. And I probably repeated myself a lot there. So I'm gonna leave you off to that, Sandra. And then you will see me back in the end, actually. But I already filmed that because I didn't know the footage was deleted before. It doesn't matter. Hope you enjoyed this first episode. Enjoy further on. Okay, I finished Empire of Silence yesterday, last night. I did really enjoy it. I thought I would love it more, honestly. Like, I thought it could be a favorite. I don't think it is a favorite yet. I feel like I need to read more books in series to make it a fave, to see where it evolves, if it becomes a fave. I'm very curious about this world and like how vast it is and what will happen in it, because obviously we got a lot of like foreshadowing for what will happen to him in the future. I actually read some reviews. A lot of people compared it to Name of the Wind, and I didn't know that. I just thought it when I was reading it, the way the story is told. Obviously, Quota in Name of the Wind does tell his life over several days, and then we do get like foreshadowing of how he's to become all of these things. And I didn't really think about it because of that. I just thought of like the pacing actually more. Anyway, we go to every single detail almost in his like childhood and like what happens to him. The beginning of his life is very much similar to Quota's life in Name of the Wind. That was why I was comparing them actually. But now, when I saw other people compare it with how he narrates the story, I guess it makes sense. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. I saw some people call it the Name of the Wind of sci-fi. So if you enjoy Name of the Wind, then you have a good recommendation. And most people do enjoy that. So yeah, I liked it. I'm curious to discover more in this universe. I'm curious to discover more about our main character and see where the story developed. I'm just thinking that it was a 600-page book, and then I feel like not that much happened. We were laying a lot of foundations, but not getting a lot of answers. And I'm not saying, again, that necessarily that is a bad thing, but I like more, like, sometimes more stuff happening, but I also do get it is a series, so we are gonna explore more. When I say more stuff happening, I'm more like, more kind of like plot twist-wise stuff, etc. And not necessarily need to be a twist, but like a kind of event. And yes, we did have obviously things happening in the end, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh my god, this is a new favorite. I, however, did very much enjoy it. I gave it a strong 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really liked it. I really, really thought it was very well written. Even though, again, it feels slow, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy immersing myself into the story. I enjoy our narrator a lot. And I do really, really am curious to see what will happen next. If I would buy it, though, there is the question of that. Because I don't think so for right now. I'm thinking about how much money I need to spend to buy like the 8 books in a series. And I don't, is it finished? I don't actually know. If I could get them all in the library like this, I would be fine with that. But however, they all do only have book 1 and 2 for some reason. So I might remedy that for some reason. I could imagine myself maybe even listening to the audio, because I feel like it is a very like narrative style that works probably really well audibly. So I could potentially read the second book physically and then the rest on audiobook. But obviously, if it like mind blows me later, like for Sarah did in book 2, because I did for the first, when I read for Sarah for the first time, the first one, I gave it 4. I'm giving this a strong 4. But 2 and 3 was 5 stars. That can happen as well. So if it does, then obviously I would maybe buy the physical then if it like turns out to be a favorite series. If I'm just feeling like now like it's really good, I don't necessarily need to own it, you know? Even though before it's definitely like something I would have just bought. I'm just thinking about space and money. Not bad at all, honestly very enjoyable. I haven't bought anything. What is this vlog? However, I am actually now going to the library to borrow the next book for this vlog. Do I film the library? I don't know. I suddenly got like, should I vlog that for excitement? Maybe. Which like, again, wasn't planned at all that all these books were going to come right after one another when I was just happening. And I'm having a lot of fun. It's really weird, different way for me to think about when I read, like, will I buy this? So far, 0 out of 3 will buy. Apparently not. But yeah, I'm gonna go now to the library. And you should see me very soon with the next book. Now, as you saw, I did go out and get Bride by Eiley Housewood. This is one of the newest books by the author. I felt like there was like one, and now there's like 400 at the same time. Like the chess one, and then rest of the series in Love Hypothesis. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But the reason I got this was because I heard it was a paranormal romance, and I liked the Love Hypothesis, but not enough to like, I think, keep it and buy other books by the author. I think. I don't know if I care enough to buy them, but I can definitely like read them and enjoy them and borrow them at the library because I do have them there because the author is so popular. So I want to read this and see if I will like this. I could still obviously buy it if I really, really love it, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it is something to do with vampires or maybe werewolves, since it is actually like it seems like she's a vampire. And she's like, this is a werewolf. Are they gonna have a romance? I don't know. I want to see if I like it. And then I booked it at the library. And then I got it now. It was like, it just came in there. So no one has borrowed it before, except me. So I am curious to see if I like it. I will start today. It is around 400 pages. So 200 today, 200 tomorrow. Let you know what I think halfway tonight. And then see tomorrow what I think when I finish it. So, yeah. That's what I got. I don't know what expectations I have, but it's definitely obviously differences, you know, fantasy instead of women in STEM type romance is different. So yeah, let's go. Okay, good morning. Yesterday I did as I said and started Bride. We are on page 206, so a bit over halfway because I think it's like 395 or something. I am trash for this, I think. So I didn't know that they followed Mystery. Her name is literally Mystery. I thought at first we were just talking about Mystery, but it was actually her name. She is being forced / voluntarily going into this arranged marriage with this alpha wolf dude because they have this alliance between vampires and humans. And vampires are kind of in a weak position because it's not that many of them and they can't reproduce as well. And then the werewolves are stronger and more. And yeah, and then the humans have a lot of numbers, etc. Either way, it doesn't really matter that part. But they need to get married. And then obviously it's like, ew, werewolf, ew, vampire. But then there's sparking, you know. It is a romance book after all. Because it's just so like, part of me is like, this is so stupid, and another part of me is like, this is very entertaining. It reminds me actually a lot of like another werewolf book I read once that was gay, and that was also very strange, but it was not as well written as this. But then they also had to like kind of have this arranged marriage thing, but they were both wolves. Besides the point. And then there's like mates, and they're talking about like, oh, and if you find your one, you can change. And also think our main character is a virgin, which is also a whole thing. And then it's really interesting because like both of the species have a lot of like legends about others, but all of them are very secretive, so they don't really know. They're like, do you change this to a bat? Do you need to change every full moon? And like they're asking each other a lot of questions because they have a lot of like more like assumptions and prejudice towards each other more than like ever actually knowing anything about other species. And I thought that was really weird considering that they've been living like side by side for like hundreds of years. But it's more that like they're also secret that haven't trusted each other for a really, really long time. Maybe now they can finally find some trust. I just thought that that was interesting. We are using some time on this world, even though it definitely, you know, it's a romance, and we're meeting new characters that the main character care for, and she's more in reality looking for. It actually says here, is kind of maybe then a spoiler, has her own reasons to agree to this marriage of convenience, reason enough to do with politics or alliances, and everything to do with the only thing she's ever cared about. But obviously, like, it's hinted very early why she wants to agree to this, and then obviously we do find out. I felt like I had read exactly a book like this before, with the same thing, where there was the exact same thing, and I was like, getting flashbacks. But again, nothing wrong with that, but I was just like, the plot wasn't, you know, anything new, but the way that Ali manages to write the sparks, and like our main character's like, she's very like sassy, and our main dude, say, a bit broody and like self-sacrificing in a way that he has become this alpha and puts everything else ahead of him except himself. The way she writes these characters is very convincing. You care really for them, and you want to see them succeed, and like I think that is the strong suit of this book, even though it is also obviously fun that they are werewolf for vampires, but she's really great at writing very convincing characters, which I found great, even though the only, I guess, complaint right now is that the main girl is like, she's super sassy, and I really like her, but the way that vampires are approached, it's like, I don't feel like they are vampires. I feel like she's just a human that drinks blood. I think it's done a bit on purpose as well, because she did grow up. She was forced to like be this like hostage for like 10 years with the humans. So she is not very vampire-like because she grew up with humans. So it makes sense, like it is explained. But then I'm also like, I kind of keep forgetting she's a vampire in a way. And I wanted like more on like, you know, the side, like the, what's it called, predator side of a vampire. They have, you know, very like typical traits, and I wanted like a more side of that into this dynamic, because he's like very like hot, you know, in like temperature, but again, not like a lot of wolf has been seen yet. So I feel like they're just like, they are more human than anything else, and then they have like this side stuff, and I like it when we go even deeper into like the creatures they are, to like separate them from like just being a human with who has a high temperature, or a human who drinks blood. But again, I don't think like that's the main focus of this book, obviously, but it's just a thing I've been thinking about. And also I think my favorite part right now is that the beginning of every chapter has like this little, I was gonna say almost a quote, but that is actually from the dude's point of view of what he's like thinking or doing right now, thinking mostly about her. And I thought that that was a really great addition to the book, and I think it's done really well, because you're just like, ooh, every time you read it. And I think that's my favorite part so far. Either way, that was some scrambly thoughts. I should say that I want to finish this today, but it actually took me a really long time to read. The font is small, and I just was very into it. So I read it actually much slower than everything else I've been reading lately. I'm going to work, and then I'm going to a concert. So I don't know if I have time to finish it tonight, but I will finish it tomorrow if not. It's no biggie. That was what I got. See you very soon for updates or something. Okay, you're literally in the noise of my computer, so sorry about that. But I just finished Bride by Ailey Hazelwood. I don't know, Ailey, I don't know, honestly. And it was such a ride. I've been having the greatest time. Honestly, one of the books I read the slowest in my life ever. It was just something I needed, like, just to immerse myself in this book. Like, obviously I'm not going to spoil anything, but things developed. We had secrets that were revealed, we met people and things were revealed, and it's definitely coming more and I'm here for it, honestly. There was sex issues that I'm not going to go into detail for, but I still don't understand. Like, I need a visual picture. I don't want a visual picture because I don't want to see anything, but in my head I am really curious to like how I don't understand. But honestly, they were super cute. I almost cried for a moment because I thought they were really adorable. My least favorite part was probably just Viserys' father, when he kind of like had his speech thingy for like 4 pages that was ages long. I was just like, I don't care at all. But I can imagine that the next book is about certain characters in the end. And then I think it probably be a 3rd book, maybe about a certain brother. That's what I think, at least. But we shall see. I really actually want more from this world. I really enjoy the characters. I really enjoy like the twist we got. I really like the characters. At the point I was like, can I give this 5 stars? But then we had the whole father's thing and I was like, this is boring. But then it kind of like ended up being enjoyable. And for me, I felt like the author manages to do a lot in just 400 pages. Like, I felt like she packed a lot of emotions, a lot of great characterizations, and I'm like kind of like interesting paranormal world. I felt like she managed to do this in a very short amount of time. Because I thought the book was really short, like pages wise, but it felt like it lasted ages. Maybe because I read it so slowly. So like, do I buy it? I kind of want to. I feel like this whole vlog is just me thinking like, do I actually want to read it? Because the high after every book, I'm like, yes, I want it. And I'm like, but do I? So I feel like I need a little think on it. Because I was like 100% sure I would buy it. But now I'm thinking like, if it's a series, and I'm thinking like having them here on my shelves, because it would be this exact edition, wouldn't be so bad. Kind of considering very much buying it. Obviously, I will let you know by the end of this vlog. I have a day or two to think about it until I go back to where I can buy it. I work. But honestly, just such a ride. Very strong 4 stars. I feel like I should rate it 5, honestly, because my enjoyment was so high. That is my thoughts for now. I feel like I had so much more to say about it, but again, it's like a lot of spoiler stuff and stuff. And I obviously don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't read it, but honestly, just like the immaculate paranormal romance vibes. I love to see it. Now, I didn't know what the next book was going to be for this vlog, but now I booked another book at the library, which I think is coming tomorrow. So I think I started like the day after. So see you then, I guess. And then we will see what I end up buying all the way in the end. I still haven't bought anything. So I'm like, what's going on? Who am I? I become a new person. Is it still like, because a part of me find it hard to like buy something when I already read it, like then I'm spending money on something I already read. But then I'm like, but would I reread? I feel like I could reread Bride. I'm in a particular kind of mood. Oh, it was a good one. Honestly, it was a good one. I'm gonna go read something else now. See you all later. Okay, so I started the next book for this vlog yesterday and I didn't get to update before because I was reading it at work, and then when I come home I was absolutely shattered. But I did start it yesterday. Did I show you already? I don't think so. And the last book for this vlog, the first episode of To Buy or Buy, is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I've seen this all around. Probably went viral on TikTok or something. We have it in store, but I borrowed it at the library. So this is not mine. And I reached 248 yesterday, which is like half, like, because it's actually like 502 pages. So I'm gonna finish it today. I didn't really know what I thought before. I thought for some reason it might be smutty because like the cover looks a bit like a dark romance or something. It's not. It's more like a YA fantasy, I would say, even though they are like 18, but like still YA. Nothing wrong with a good YA fantasy. Nothing wrong with that. But this book is making me want to fling it into a wall. Because I am not enjoying myself. There is not a single moment in this book where I feel like anything is original. And again, not every book can be completely original because we all inspire from each other and take from each other, and that's fine. It's normal. It's okay. But this book just feels like a mimic out of like all like popular things, and I just cannot get over it, and I just don't find myself enjoying any part of the book at all right now because like the characters are just so obnoxious obnoxious. I can't even say the word. That's probably obnoxious too. Plot is just like, I don't care at all. This feels like a watered down version of This Woven Kingdom by Tara Malfi, if you heard about that. That book, it's not the most original book either, but it was very entertaining, very well written, and you really fell for these characters. You really were deep into their histories and their stories. This just reminds me a lot, and I mean a lot, of that book. Like, even the main characters meet in the same way. And I'm not saying it's an original thing where the girl tries to rob the dude, but it was just like, the setup, it was too much. Okay, so we had this girl, Paydin, I don't know how to say her name. And she is an ordinary in this world where everyone has power, and it's illegal to be an ordinary in a way that they have hunted them down and they blame like this plague on them, and they want them all to die. So our main dude, Kai, is the prince, and he is like not the eldest son, but he's one of the sons. There's 3 sons. And he is like the trained killer, the assassin, blah 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 blah. And he has gone around and killed ordinaries, and he can sense other people's like power, and he can like steal it if they're nearby and use it. Well, our main character just lies about her power, so that's like the way she lies about it makes her for once into Sherlock Holmes, and also she like pretends that she has this power that people cannot sense, and it's unpredictable and blah 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 blah. So it actually works out. But then there's this trial, which was explained really badly in the beginning, where I don't actually know what is the purpose of the trial. No idea. But there was this trial where the people apparently vote forward who's gonna win. And she like saves the prince's life. So the people voted her forward, and now she's a competitor in this trial where people have powers and she doesn't have a single one. And she needs to pretend she does. But her power is not like a fighting power. But yeah. And she's like super badass. She's trained up her whole life. I think her father might have been killed by the king, and she's mad about that. And also we have Kai who's struggling with like his inner self because he is trained to be a killer. And he just wants to, I don't know, start a farm or something. He actually didn't say that, but I don't know. This is not what he wants, and we feel super bad for him. Which is fine. Like, the setup is like kind of a typical one you've seen before. It's okay. They meet and they're kind of working together in a way. But they need to be snarky with each other all the time. They can't have a single serious conversation. It's just like, oh, darling, you know you want me. And she's like, no, I would never want you. And then you just go back and forth all the time. Like, you're flirting. No, I don't want you. I saved your life. I'm not going to admit you saved my life, but I saved your life. And it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all the time. And the dialogue doesn't even feel particularly good. So I'm just like, oh my god, shut up already. Seem very negative, but I'm not having a good time here. And I'm supposed to feel bad for these people because woohoo, they grew up like that and blah blah blah. So our main character is basically Katniss, where like she's into this trial where everyone has like been training for her whole life, and she's just like, I guess I'm badass, I'm just here. And yeah, so she's basically Katniss. I just don't care. It says it is a fantasy romance because obviously these two people have sparks between them because they keep being sassy to each other. And that's the only way you can have romance. Honestly, yeah, that's what I feel like every time. But like, even like, fine, they're sassing each other or whatever, but at least make their comments like flow better. Like, in a way that I don't need to like sit here and actually cringe because I'm like, please stop talking. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm making it out worse than it actually is. I don't think it's probably not that bad. Like, it's fine. But I just like the world, how it's built, it's just like, it's not good. And the writing is like super flat. There's just nothing about it that feels original or interesting right now. And I'm just so glad I'm going to finish it today and I will think about it again. Very glad I didn't spend my money on that. And I'm going to move on. But yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I doubt I will buy this one. I'm still nipping on Bride. I might buy it today if I sense it in my bones. But yeah. See you later. And alas, we are here for the last clip of this vlog, because last night I did finish Powerless by Logan Roberts, and I did not really end up enjoying myself. It had a tiny, like, kind of fun, I wouldn't exactly call it a twist, but kind of fun part of the story in the end, where I was like, this is kind of fun and would probably be interesting going forward. But because of the characters, and they were so obnoxious and everything was so predictable, except that one thing, I just imagine myself reading the rest of the series. Makes me annoyed. Will I? Because I read the first one and I cannot like series go. That should be my next step, DNFing series. Maybe. Will I buy it? Absolutely not. But this is something I definitely would have just bought and had and been like, why? There was this sentence in this book that annoyed me so much, just the way it was written. I'm being very aggressive. I don't know if I can find it again because I was at work when reading that part and like I had no way to like, I didn't bother writing it down because there's Princess, right? And she kind of like, there's two of the princesses that kind of like her, and like just the way that our main dude Kai thinks of her, and it's just like totally like unraveled by her, and I'm like, I don't understand why. Like, what did she do that made you so interested in her? Because I don't get it. No. I thought I had more, honestly. I thought I had more to say, but like the whole like world building where like they go after like the normal, ordinary people, and just how the character were. And these trial, how they're set up, what is supposed to be exciting, they were really boring. Like they were trying to do a plot to drive the story forward, to evolve this romance, but the romance wasn't even good. My curtain is moving by itself, it's scary. So I'm like sitting there left with what? Left with what exactly? Nothing. I gave it 2 stars. I don't think it deserves 1 because it wasn't the most terrible thing I ever read. But no. Just no. Just how it was written didn't work for me at all. But if others enjoyed it, I am happy for you. And that means we read finally. Why is everything in my room moving right now without my permission? That means that we finally finished 5 books for this vlog. I have totally cut out my whole TBR this whole month to read books for this instead. And I'm kind of stressed. But I'm sure it will all work out. So now we're gonna wrap this up. The Thief, Megan Whelan Turner, did not end up buying the Fairyloot set. We'll continue the series. Curious to see where we'll go. If I end up really enjoying it, I might just buy paperbacks and have on myself to like have, because I do like to have books I enjoy. If not, I will survive just reading them digitally. Yes. Princess of Souls by Alexander Christo. I am too old for that. Cynical. And negative. So, yeah. The first book was also on hold. But I think they are good books, just not for me. Empire Silence by Christopher Riccio. I still don't know how to say his last name. I think that this was good. It was very detailed in every single detail. It makes sense why the series is so long. Very slow pace because like we go into every detail. It's like a 600-page book with a 8-book series. And just thinking about having them on my shelf when I'm not sure if I like enjoy every book yet. Unsure. We'll continue the series. We'll try to read them like digitally, Kindle, borrow, etc. to see if it becomes like a favorite. I will get them. But right now, I'm just sitting here like, it was good. I really enjoyed it. But if it keeps going like that, which I feel like I have like a feeling in my bones, it will. I don't know if this type of series that I will like love, but just very much enjoy. But it's a type of series where I feel like it has a particular taste in a way that how it goes into detail, how we meet all these people and they're not going to have any significance. Like we literally meet a character and we use so long time with that character, like 200 pages, and then it's like, oh, and then I never saw them again. And I'm like, great. Not that like that matters because I know it matters for a main character, but it's just like the detail can be for some, I would imagine, not amazing. And it's not like I hated it because of this, but I also got a bit like, what's the point? But I did enjoy it and I did like the foreshadowing. I did like, maybe it is for me, I did like how it was written and how it was played out, but it needed more plot, I think, for me to love it. And then we have Bride, because plot twist, I bought it yesterday. I kept thinking about it. I really loved it. The way it made me feel, how immersed I was in the story. I would definitely reread. I wanted it on my shelf. Thinking about having it on my shelf made me happy. So I got it yesterday. And now I have my own copy. Obviously, as you know, I bought the first one at the library. And now I have this. And this is what I'm left with after this vlog, because we all know that I'm not going to buy Powerless. I'm going to return it to the library. And I'm going to be happy with my 1 book out of 5 for this vlog. I'm still thinking about the Pretty Thief set. But alas, I just need to realize I don't need it. If I had more money, I feel like I would get it. Because I did enjoy the book. But I'm going to let it go. Let it go. Mentally hard. Money-wise, easy. Okay. Well, that was the first episode of To Buy or Buy. We ended up with 5 books read, 1 bought, 4 not bought yet. And because I'm still like on the fence of Emperor of Silence at least. And yeah, I don't know, do we keep stats over the course of these vlogs? We can. This is just basically me reading digitally and making content out of it, because I realize I don't make content out of what I'm reading, which is frankly quite sad considering how much I read. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It was basically just me borrowing books and reading them. It wasn't really that unique, but it was a fun way to think when I was reading. And I did end up buying the most least likely one I thought I would buy, honestly. I thought it would be The Thief or Emperor of Silence. If I thought it would be Ailey Hazelwood, no. Absolutely not. But yeah, I do still believe I'm gonna hold the love I have with Thesis. But yeah, I am gonna go. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a wolf emoji down below if you enjoyed this and you should see me soon in a new one. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.